Hello, everybody. Softball Grandpa here. It's been a while. I'm here with my trusty little friend Hawkeye and Henry. Henry's right there, right? Today's Friday, July 17th or something like that. And, I'm glad it's Friday. Working for the weekend. Uh-oh. What are you doing, Henry? But anyway, we had a little luncheon today for my boss. My boss retiring. Today was his last day of work, and it's just about 6 months before I retire, And one of the things, and last night I went to see my granddaughter play softball. Well, actually practice softball, not really play a game. But she's only 6 years old, and she'd come in to the bench and get a drink of water, and then she'd give me a hug and say, "Bye, Grandpa," and then she'd be running back. "I love you, Grandpa." And say I love you to her mom, too, my daughter, Kim. And McKenna's a trip. What a great little spirit, Happy little girl, I wish I had that kind of happiness. Well, I do, but, that youthful happiness. I think as I get older, the happiness is a little bit different than it was when I was a kid. Just like enjoying, like right now, just relaxing. Maybe I should turn the fan on here. Hawkeye, sorry about that. Hawkeye likes the fan. Oh, so today we had a luncheon for the boss, and this guy got way too much tequila. He has enough tequila to take one shot a night for the next year. That's how, it was really good food too. Probably too much. And then somebody brought Portos in the morning, and if you don't know what Portos is, it's a Cuban bakery in Southern California that they have really good food, pastries and stuff. And somebody else brought donuts. And I'm just gonna have watermelon for dinner tonight. But it was pretty cool, because everybody was, the guy worked for the city for 35 years. In October, I'll have 20 years. That's enough. That's enough for me. And sit. I'm going to say a shout out to my buddy Wendell in Oklahoma. And Wendell, you got a great attitude too, for losing a foot, and God bless you, And a shout out to my sister in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Wendell's from Cushing, and Sandy's in Tulsa. And Sandy's battling, the nasty cancer, And, my birth sign is Cancer. I always thought I was going to die of cancer. That was when I was a little kid, And, but this just shit happens, and life happens, and that's what happens in life, There's no rhyme or reason why, we can't argue with God's will, we know when, you're doing God's will when you got the good feeling in your gut, and when you get that bad feeling in your gut, you're not doing God's will, you're doing your will, especially if it goes against, Mother Nature and stuff. When I was at the liquor store, I was buying little shots of bottles of tequila for the boss last night, and when I had a box of Altoids in the shopping cart, and I checked out, and then I was going out, and I see the Altoids. I didn't pay for them, so I told the guy, I said, "Wait a minute, whoa, I didn't." That's why I actually, said, "Hey," and that's where the good feeling comes in. If I would have walked out, it's probably a $3 item or something. I'd have that bad feeling. I don't want that bad feeling. There's enough shit going on. I don't need that kind of feeling. I've been sober quite a while, and. Well, in September, God willing, it'll be 35 years. And with that being said, I had 4 sponsors who I've outlived, but they all taught me something, you know. And I've gone through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed. Right, Hawkeye? He's truly blessed because he has a owner like me that feeds him every time I come home. You know, every 12 hours, like clockwork. This is a eating machine right here. Henry, he could take it or leave it. You know, big dog. I'll eat when I get around to him. When I feel like and that's what he does. But this guy, every 12 hours, you got to feed him. You know, he has a lot of energy. He's a good watchdog too. I don't know how I got off on that tangent. You know, I haven't posted in a while because number one, it has been hot in here, and I probably could go in the air conditioned house, but I had a whole bunch of stuff on the desk, you know, that I haven't opened up yet, and from Amazon or FedEx or whoever the deliveries come from. I bought a lot of stuff online, but here's another shout out to my granddaughter Dayla. She's coming home on Sunday, I'm told. If you need a ride from the airport, I'll pick you up. But anyway, it is summer. And, oh yeah, Deep Purple is playing September 11th. Hey, Savon, do I go to see Deep Purple? Smoke on the Water. That was my first 8-track tape, you know, and rock and roll, you know. And I was telling somebody at work today that we used to take the 8-track tapes, and the ones that we didn't like, we'd pull all the tape out, and we'd break the seal, and we'd put our joints in there to hide it from the cops when we got pulled over. But, you know, now they got drug sniffing dogs, so, you know, it's no fun no more. You know, the cops, and they got helicopters too, you know. It used to be fun, you used to be able to get away from the cops. That was back in the 60s and 70s, you know. And you know what? I never got away from the cops. That's shitty luck, huh? Right, Hawkeye? Yeah, but if you're going to do the crime, you got to be willing to do the time. So just remember that, you young folk. You know, you got to be willing to do the time, because, and you might want to do some research if you're going to pull out any type of crime. You know, forgery or anything like that. You know, and if you do shit like that, you're going to have that bad feeling in the gut. You want the good feeling in the gut. That's what we need, and that's what the whole world needs. You know how much one of those Patriot missiles costs? You know, that $3.5 million. And it takes or $3.5 million, and it takes 2 years to build one missile, and they're firing them up like Cracker Jacks over there in Iraq. You know, so maybe I'm in the wrong business. I should have went into the bomb making business. You know, but that'd be a hole in the gut too, because that'd be a shitty feeling, making something that's going to kill people. You know, God bless us all. You know, and ask God for help and mean it, and do something for somebody else for fun or for free because you want to, with no expectation in return, and you will be amazed. That's all for now. Happy Friday. See you tomorrow.